The year was 1347. In the city of Siena, Italy, a baby girl named Catherine was born into a large working-class family. She was the 25th child, yes, the 25th, of a wool dyer and his wife. From the very beginning, Catherine was no ordinary child. At just 6 years old, she had her first mystical vision. She saw Jesus clothed in glory, blessing her from above. That moment changed her forever. By age 7, she secretly vowed to give her whole life to God. No husband, no family, just Jesus. As she grew older, Catherine refused to marry despite her parents' pressure. In protest, she cut off her hair, a scandalous act at the time. Eventually, her family gave in and Catherine joined the Third Order of St. Dominic, a lay branch of the Dominicans. She didn't enter a convent. Instead, she lived a hidden life of prayer, penance, and service in her own home. She spent hours in silence, often praying through the night, fasting, and caring for the sick and poor. And then, something extraordinary began to happen. Catherine was no theologian. She couldn't even read or write at first. But God gave her powerful mystical experiences, visions of Christ, the Virgin Mary, and even heaven and hell. In one of these visions, Jesus placed a mystical ring on her finger, binding her to himself in what she called a spiritual marriage. Her soul was his entirely, and her love for Christ wasn't just emotional, it was sacrificial. She served the dying during times of plague, risked her life for the poor, and interceded for sinners with tears and fasting. Eventually, she received the Stigmata, the wounds of Christ, though they remained invisible until after her death. But Catherine wasn't meant to stay hidden forever. At just 29 years old, she began writing hundreds of letters to rulers, priests, and even the Pope himself. She called out corruption in the church, urged reform, and begged for peace in war-torn Italy. Her most famous achievement? Convincing Pope Gregory XI to leave Avignon, France, and return the papacy to Rome, a turning point in church history. Think about that. A young, uneducated woman, no title, no power, changing the course of the papacy through faith, courage, and love. In the midst of all this, she dictated her greatest work, the Dialogue of Divine Providence, a beautiful conversation between the soul and God. In it, she shares deep insights about mercy, love, truth, and the path to holiness. But her intense spiritual life took a toll. She fasted almost entirely on the Eucharist. Her body weakened, but her soul burned brighter than ever. On April 29, 1380, Catherine died at the age of 33, the same age as Christ, after offering her suffering for the Church. She was canonized by Pope Pius II in the year 1461. In 1970, she was declared a Doctor of the Church, one of only 4 women to ever receive that title. In 1999, she was named Co-Patroness of Europe. And today, she remains a powerful reminder that God chooses the small, the humble, the overlooked, and sets them on fire with his love. So if you ever feel like you're too small to make a difference, remember St. Catherine. She wasn't a queen, a priest, or a scholar. She was a young woman with a heart completely surrendered to Jesus. And through her, God changed history.